Here is something I think about a lot. The world feels heavy right now, like more uncertain, more reactive, more exhausting than it's ever felt. And I've been a therapist for over 8 years, and I have sat with a lot of people carrying a lot of weight. And what I kept seeing long before things got as chaotic as they are now is that most people aren't struggling because they're weak or broken or doing life wrong. They're struggling because they're living according to beliefs that were never actually theirs. Beliefs they inherited from their families, from school, from society that handed them a script and said, here, be this, do it this way. Want these things, measure yourself against this standard. And then they'd been trying to conform, trying to fit, trying to make that script work for really a body and a mind and a soul that was designed for something completely different. That is what I spent years helping people untangle. And it was meaningful work. Watching someone identify a belief that has been running their life for years and years and years, or even decades, and then finally consciously choose to let it go or to break it down and break the belief, that never got old. But here's what I didn't have for many, many years. I could help people release what wasn't working, but I didn't always have a clear picture of what should replace it. Every person's different. So, what would actually work for this person with this wiring, this specific time, with this design? And then I found human design, and everything changed. So, stay with me. This matters. I want to give you an image that I keep coming back to because I think it captures exactly what I'm talking about. So imagine you're floating down a river. The river is life. Current is always moving, sometimes gently, sometimes fast. And your job, in the most fundamental sense, is to learn how to move with it. But here's what happens for most of us. At some point, usually when we're young, usually when something scared us or hurt us, we reached out and grabbed a branch. As we're going down the river, we grabbed a branch and we hung on tight, hanging out over the water. We'd held on for dear life. Maybe the branch was a belief, I have to be perfect to be loved, or I'm too much, or I need to make everyone comfortable before I can take care of myself. Whatever it was, we grabbed onto that branch and it felt safer than letting go. The river keeps moving. And now the water is rushing past you and pulling you and pummeling you, and you're still holding onto the branch, white knuckling it, barely able to breathe, not because you're weak, but because nobody ever told you that the branch was optional, that you could let go, that there's a way to flow down the river and use your skills and ability, and it will carry you just fine. That's what I was helping people do in therapy. Identify the branches, feel how exhausting it was to keep holding on, and then finally let go. But here's what human design came along and did. Here's how it changed the game. Because letting go of the branch is only half of it. Once you're back in the current, you need the right boat, essentially, or the right canoe. Imagine now that the river gets more intense. The current picks up, and ahead of you are rapids, like rough ones. Not the kind you can muscle your way through, the kind that require you to be in a boat that's actually built for you and use the skill to be able to do it. So some people are in a canoe that's too small. It tips over every time the water shifts. Some are in something that's in a boat that's too big and too unwieldy. Some are in a boat they borrowed from someone else entirely, wondering why it doesn't feel right. And no matter how hard they paddle, it just doesn't work. The wrong vessel in this analogy is not moral failure. It's just a mismatch. It's living according to beliefs and strategies and ways of being that were never designed to work for who you actually are. Human design gives you the blueprint for your boat, the one that was made for your river, your current, and your specific design. That's what I found in my life. And that is why I felt I had to bring it to my clients. And so when you're in the right boat, the rapids are still real. Today's world is still chaotic, but you move through it differently. You move through it more confidently. You are one with the boat, so to speak. You're not fighting the current, you're navigating it, you're working with it. And that changes everything. So let me tell you what human design actually is, because I want to name it before we go any further. Human design is a system. Think of it as an energetic and psychological blueprint that's generated from your exact birth date, time, and location. It maps out how your energy works, how you're designed to make decisions, where you're naturally strong, what fears are literally wired into your nervous system, and how your emotional world is designed to function, and more. When I started bringing this into my therapy practice, something really shifted dramatically because suddenly I wasn't just helping people let go of what didn't work. I had a clear picture of what actually would work for that person, not in theory, not based on what worked for someone else and trying to figure it out. This worked for them, maybe it'll work for this person, but really based on their specific individual design. Here's what I really wasn't prepared for. When I shared someone's design with them, when I walked them through what the chart was saying and about how they're built, they didn't just intellectually understand it and agree with it. They felt the truth of it in their bodies. Like they felt the truth of it. I wasn't telling them the truth and what is. I just shared with them what their chart said. And then their own bodies really confirmed it. So that felt sense recognition, that's not just an interesting experience. That's your nervous system registering truth. That's when your body is saying, yes, this is the boat that was built for me. This is how I'm meant to operate. These are the beliefs that work and feel right. So then what happened is what used to take months of therapy, in some cases years to arrive at really working through all the things, what started to happen is we were getting there in a fraction of the time. Like it was unbelievable. But, we really weren't just working through the symptoms anymore either, because I'm not a symptom gal. I'm a root cause gal for real. And so this was a huge thing for me to be able to have as a therapeutic tool. We could go straight to their actual design and get to the root of their challenges, and I could walk them forward. So let me give you a concrete example of what this worked with. I worked with a client, I'll call her Kennedy, a very highly accomplished professional, somebody who by any external measure had it together. She was completely depleted. She kept saying, I don't know why I'm so tired. I'm doing everything. I'm trying to get good sleep. I feel like I'm doing everything right. When we looked at her human design chart, one thing was immediately clear. She was a projector, which in human design means she's designed to work in bursts of deep energy and then offer profound insight and guidance. She's kind of like a lead for people. And then a projector's way of being is to be invited into opportunities rather than constantly initiating. So she's not built for the always on output, everything hustle culture pace. And she'd spent years trying to do that, which is essentially what generators are built for, or manifesting generators. And she was trying to be like a generator, manifesting generator, without realizing it. So she had spent years of trying to operate that way, and it wasn't how she was designed to operate. She was running someone else's quote operating system on her own very different hardware. So when I explained that, she didn't argue with it. She didn't need to be convinced. She just relaxed. She felt the truth of that, and she knew that that was the right answer for her and that she needed to make an adjustment to be in alignment with how she was really designed to be. So nothing was wrong with her. She just hadn't been given the right boat. And this is true at every level of the human design chart. Like your emotions aren't a disorder. They're designed to work in a certain way. Most people I've worked with have never been taught how their emotions were actually meant to operate. They just knew they felt too much, or they felt at the wrong times, or they just were told they were too much, or their emotions confused the people around them. Another example is a constant, never ending pressure that some people feel to get things done. It's a low grade, like constant urgency. They just want to get things done, to get it off their list so they can have relief from the pressure to get things done. And the pressure like never goes away. That might be an undefined root center, absorbing energy and pressure from everyone around you and mistaking it for your own. So these are the kind of things that when you realize what you've been carrying and it's not, or how you've been operating and it's not in alignment with how you're designed to be, it makes all the difference. It just shortens the time of trying to figure it out. So human design does not pathologize you. It contextualizes, is a way to say it. It says, here's how you're wired. Here's what alignment can feel like in your body. Here's what it feels like when you're living out of alignment. And here's how to come home to yourself. That's not woo. I've come to hate that word woo. It's not woo anymore. I mean, this is one of the most psychologically sound frameworks that I've encountered. And I love frameworks. I've worked a lot with frameworks. And this has just been the most effective tool for getting underneath whatever reason the person came to therapy for in the first place, or coaching. I do a lot of coaching as well. I want to plant something in your mind before we close out this first video. Something we're going to go much deeper on later in this series. Your struggles aren't random. The specific fears you carry, the emotional patterns that you keep cycling through, the places in your life where you feel like you keep hitting a wall, those aren't evidence that you're broken. In human design, those are part of your design. They're literally the places where your deepest growth lives. And I can imagine how that sounds, but I have found that to be genuinely true over and over and over. You were meant to wrestle with certain struggles. We're not meant to suffer, but we are meant to struggle. That's where growth happens. So what this means is, and I really want you to hear me on this, you were always meant to come out the other side of your struggles. I cannot tell you how many times I watched someone's whole body relaxed when they heard that. It's like they'd been holding their breath for years and waiting for permission to believe that their pain had a point and that they're not just failing at life or they're not just broken. They're actually in the middle of the exact journey that they were designed for. And seeing and being able to be told and learn what it looks like, literally what it looks like to come out the other side was gold. So that's what human design does at the deepest level. It doesn't just give you strategies. It gives you back your faith in yourself. That's what made me just go so deep into human design. I just had to bring this to more people because as a root cause person, this really gets to the root of a lot of different challenges. It gives you yourself back that you maybe didn't even know you didn't have. And then when you start to see the intelligence woven into your own chart, the precision of it, it was crazy. But the way it reflects something true about who you've always been, it's not hard to start believing that there's an intelligence at work in this universe, that you were made on purpose. And if that's true, if you were made on purpose, then the rapids ahead are not a punishment. They're an invitation. They're really a way to get in your boat, like your actual boat, let the river carry you, and then you can navigate it. So here's what I want to leave with you from this first video. The world is not going to calm down anytime soon. And it's certainly not going to wait for you to figure yourself out. The chaos is the context. And the most powerful thing you can do right now, and not just for your own well-being, but honestly for everyone around you, is to get deeply rooted in who you actually are. Not who you were told to be, not the version of you that learned to survive by making yourself small or palatable or convenient, but you, your design, your actual wiring. That's the work, and that's the most important thing you'll ever do. So over the next number of videos, I'm not sure how many I'm going to do on this specific series, but over the next several videos, I'm going to walk you through this framework piece by piece. We're going to talk about the science that finally validates what mystics have known for centuries. I'll share my own story, how I found human design, what it changed for me and my family, and then my clients. We're going to go deep on energy types, emotional design, the fear centers wired into your chart, your inner authority. By the end of the series, my goal is really that you don't just understand your design intellectually, you start to feel the truth of it, you trust it, and you actually want to start living from it. Because that gap between knowing and actually living is where most people get stuck. You know, we can learn all about any of these things, but if we don't understand how to implement them, that's where the challenge is. If we don't know how to live it. I always call it where the rubber hits the road. If we can't make the rubber hit the road, we're not going anywhere. So closing that gap is really my entire life's work. If this resonated with you, please subscribe. I want you to know when the next video comes out. Every video in this particular series will build on the last one, and I don't want you to miss video two. I'm going to get into the science, which is kind of fascinating. Quantum physics, consciousness research, why the inner world shapes the outer one in ways that are now measurable, the power of language. It's the foundation that makes everything else in this series make sense. And if you want a head start right now, there's a link in the description where you can get your free human design chart. And I made an emotion regulation report because I found that I work so much with people on their emotions that I made a customized report based on your chart. So it's very personalized and it's a beautiful, really first glimpse into what it feels like to see yourself through the lens of your design. So you were designed with intention. Your struggles have a purpose, and you were always, always meant to come out the other side. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.